morning. You're listening to The Brief Wake Up, your mindful start to the day. I am Handel, your daily coffee companion, helping you wake up informed, thoughtful, and maybe just a little amused before the day gets old. If you're commuting, corralling kids, or just standing in line for caffeine, you're in the right place. Let's get you caught up. Starting with our health, we will discuss the hidden side of weight loss drugs. There is an evolving weight loss revolution occurring with a side that most people aren't talking about. GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro have changed the fat-burning landscape. They help people lose not just a few pounds, but life-changing amounts of weight, sometimes up to 25% of their body mass. That's incredible science. But new data shows it's not only fat we're losing. Across clinical trials, anywhere from 25 to 40% of the total weight lost comes from lean body mass, which includes muscle. Some reports say it's even higher. Now, not all of that loss is bad. But here's the concern. Muscle isn't just for strength. It's our metabolic engine. It keeps blood sugar stable, protects bones, and supports long-term health. Doctors are starting to call this the Ozempic muscle problem. It's not that the drugs are dangerous, they're doing their job. It's that when we shed weight too fast, we can take vital muscle tissue with it. And for older adults, that can mean frailty, fatigue, or slower recovery from illness. So here's what experts recommend. First is resistance training. This should be done 2 to 3 times a week. Even bodyweight workouts can make a difference. This works to promote muscle growth. Second is managing protein intake. One should aim for enough high-quality protein to fuel muscle repair as weight drops. And third, if you're using GLP-1s under medical supervision, track your body composition, not just the scale. Interestingly, some companies are already testing next-generation GLP-1 plus drugs designed to preserve muscle while burning fat. So, the science is evolving fast. Bottom line, GLP-1 drugs remain a powerful tool, but weight loss should never come at the cost of strength. Losing fat is good. Losing muscle, that's a price too high. The news is next. In the news, big decision out of Washington. The Supreme Court has just cleared Texas to use its newly redrawn congressional map for the 2026 midterms. This comes after a lower court blocked the map, saying it likely discriminated against Black and Hispanic voters. But in a 5-4 decision, the justices lifted that block, effectively allowing Texas to move forward. State leaders are calling it a win. Attorney General Ken Paxton praised what he calls the Big Beautiful Map, saying it protects the integrity of Texas elections. Critics, including civil rights groups, see it differently. They warn the new lines will dilute minority voting power and dismantle coalition districts that once gave communities of color a meaningful voice. Now here's why this matters. This map could add as many as 5 Republican-leaning House seats next cycle, a major shift in a state already pivotal to national politics. But Texas isn't alone. Similar fights are unfolding across the country. In North Carolina, lawmakers approved a map that leans heavily Republican after the state's high court flipped conservative last year. Missouri pushed through its own redraw that could flip a Democratic seat red. Florida is beginning a redistricting process of its own, with lawmakers already meeting in committee, and Governor DeSantis pushing for what he calls fair representation. And in Wisconsin, the state's Supreme Court just reopened a major challenge to existing maps. This time from Democrats claiming the old ones are unconstitutionally partisan. California also had its redistricting efforts voter approved, but is facing court obstacles ignited by the GOP. All of this points to a bigger trend, what analysts are calling the mid-decade redistricting wave. Usually these fights happen once a decade, after the census. But now, several states are redrawing lines midstream, before 2026, to lock in congressional advantages, while the balance of power in Washington is razor thin. Voting rights advocates say it's a warning sign that aggressive map-making could sideline communities of color and reshape political power for years. Meanwhile, state officials defending the redraws argue they're simply correcting judicial overreach and restoring legislative authority. Either way, it's a new era in redistricting, and Texas is now ground zero for what could become the most consequential map war in a generation. Stay tuned for tech and culture next. For tech and culture, let's discuss what's happening on Netflix. There are some shows that don't just trend, they take over. They don't just entertain, they ignite. Think Stranger Things. Think K-pop Demon Hunters. Two completely different worlds, yet both have cracked the code on what makes modern storytelling unstoppable. Connection. The numbers alone are jaw-dropping. Stranger Things pulled nearly 60 million views in its first 5 days, the biggest English language debut in Netflix history. And K-pop Demon Hunters? Over 325 million global views in just 3 months, the most watched title ever on the platform. The soundtrack even launched 4 songs into Billboard's top 10. These aren't just shows, they're cultural lightning strikes. So, what's the secret spark? It's not just nostalgia or great visuals. It's the way they speak across boundaries. Stranger Things hits that deep vein of 1980s energy. The neon, the synths, the messy wonder of being young and brave. It gives older audiences something to remember, and younger audiences something to dream about. Meanwhile, K-pop Demon Hunters fuses anime-style storytelling, supernatural action, and K-pop spectacle into one wild celebration of sound and color. It's global, it's unapologetically hybrid, a love letter to creativity that doesn't care where you're from, only that you feel it. But here's the real story. The fans made it bigger. Communities of creators, artists, dancers, remixers turned both of these into living, breathing worlds. Every meme, every cover song, every edit said, "We're part of this too." The fandom isn't watching anymore, it's building. And technology, it's the megaphone. Streaming drops the same day everywhere. TikTok turns a soundtrack into a movement. Fans from Seoul, São Paulo, and San Francisco are all in the same chat thread, sharing art and subtitles and laughter. Pop culture isn't American anymore. It's planetary. We're living through a new kind of creative revolution, one where cultures don't collide. They collaborate, where storytelling moves at the speed of emotion, and where the future of entertainment looks a lot less like Hollywood and a lot more like humanity in sync. So, if you're wondering what's next, it's this. Cross-culture is no longer a trend. It's the new DNA of art, nostalgic and neon, animated and alive, shared by billions, owned by no one, and powered by everyone. The screen? That's just a spark. The story now belongs to the world. Our lighter roast is next. This morning's lighter roast dives into one of the oldest debates of domestic life: cats versus dogs. It's not just a question of fur or fetch. It's a personality test wrapped in whiskers and paw prints. Let's start with dog people. Dog people are social, open, and loyal, the extroverts of the pet world. They like morning walks, tail wags, and the idea that love should be loud. Studies show dog owners tend to score higher on traits like agreeableness and conscientiousness. They plan, they nurture, they thrive on structure. They like knowing their affection will be returned, instantly and unconditionally. There's a reason dog people make good team players. They're pack-minded. They believe in commitment, and they're probably the ones organizing the neighborhood barbecue. Now, cat people, you beautiful paradoxes. You're independent, introspective, and maybe a touch mysterious. You don't need constant validation, and you prefer your space respected. Thank you very much. Research actually backs this up. Cat owners tend to score higher in openness and creativity. You're thinkers, readers, dreamers, the kind of people who understand that silence can be its own kind of conversation. And while dog people want to be loved, cat people want to be understood. But here's where it gets interesting. Both pets mirror the sides of us we value most. The dog in your life reflects the part of you that loves connection, that rushes to the door when someone comes home. The cat mirrors the part that values peace, curiosity, and self-respect. They're not opposites. They're complementary halves of the human spirit: loyalty and independence, devotion and discernment. And if you have both, congratulations. You've achieved emotional balance. You know when to give affection and when to ghost. You're capable of both chasing joy and sitting quietly in it. You understand that love can be messy and simple at the same time. Sometimes a lick on the face, sometimes a slow blink from across the room. Psychologists say we don't just choose pets that fit our lifestyles. We choose ones that fit our reflection. Maybe the real truth isn't whether cats or dogs are better companions. It's that both are holding up a mirror to who we already are. So, whether you're a leash and fetch kind of soul, or the kind that finds meaning in a soft purr and a little distance, your pet isn't just your friend, it's your familiar, a four-legged translation of your personality. Because at the end of the day, dogs make us feel loved, and cats make us earn it, and both keep us just human enough to deserve them. And for our commemoration, today, December 5th, a date layered with change, courage, and imagination. We start with International Volunteer Day, a global salute to the people who give their time and talent to lift others up. From food banks to mentoring programs, volunteers remind us that progress rarely starts in a boardroom. It starts with people who care enough to act. On this day in 1933, America's long dry era came to an end. Utah became the 36th state to ratify the 21st Amendment, officially repealing prohibition. 14 years of strict bans, bootleggers, and backroom bars finally gave way to a simple idea that laws work best when they match the will of the people. But the moment that truly shaped the soul of a nation happened on December 5th, 1955. That morning, the Montgomery bus boycott began in Alabama, sparked by Rosa Parks' quiet act of defiance. What followed was 381 days of unity, patience, and purpose. People walked to work, carpooled in the rain, and stood shoulder to shoulder against a system built to keep them apart. It wasn't easy, but it changed everything. That movement helped launch the Civil Rights era, proving that ordinary citizens could bend history through collective courage. And maybe that's the lesson we still need today, in a country once again wrestling with division and distrust. The voices of 1955 whisper, stand together, walk steady. Change starts when someone refuses to sit down. Elsewhere in history, 1952, London was choked by the Great Smog, a toxic haze that darkened the city for 5 days and took thousands of lives. It shocked the world into writing its first major clean air laws. proof that tragedy can still spark reform. Back in 1848, President James K. Polk announced to Congress that gold had been discovered in California, and the gold rush was on. Within a year, tens of thousands had crossed mountains chasing a dream. America was moving west, restless, daring, sometimes reckless, but always in motion. In 2013, the world lost Nelson Mandela, the man who spent 27 years in prison and still chose reconciliation over revenge. His life remains a reminder that justice and forgiveness can exist in the same heartbeat. And before we wrap, a birthday worth remembering: Walt Disney, born this day in 1901. The animator who turned imagination into an industry and gave generations permission to dream out loud. And yes, it's also International Ninja Day, a light-hearted nod to stealth, discipline, and precision. Qualities we could all use, especially on a Friday. So today, as we look back on courage, creativity, and change, from Montgomery streets to Mandela's cell, maybe the message is simple. The power to move the world has never been limited to the powerful. It starts with the willing. Today's show reminded us that progress comes in many forms, from the science redefining weight loss and strength, to the maps reshaping political power, to the stories and art that connect a global generation. But the deeper thread runs through history, from the marchers of Montgomery to the dreamers of Disney, proof that courage and creativity still move the world forward. So, as we head into the weekend, remember, change doesn't wait for permission. It begins with people willing to lift, to speak, to build, and to keep imagining what's next. This is your brief wake-up. Stay calm, kind, and curious. Remember to top off that cup, and I'll catch up with you next time.